And the Breonna Taylor case has become a focus of the fight for racial justice. For more than 6 months now, Taylor was with her boyfriend in her Louisville apartment when she was killed in a botched raid and shootout just after midnight on March 13th this year. 3 officers on a narcotics investigation were serving a warrant at her apartment. 6 days later, Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, was charged with attempted murder of a police officer. But after a national outcry, those charges were dropped. In June, 2 of the officers involved were placed on administrative reassignment. Officer Brett Hankison, who was charged today, was terminated. Just last week, Taylor's family reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with the city of Louisville that included several changes to its police department. And today, more than 6 months after her death, Officer Hankison was indicted in the case. So to get some help explaining this charge and the thinking behind it, we are bringing in defense attorney Enrique Latoison.
First, Enrique, give us your reaction when you heard this and explain what those charges, now that we know them, mean to you.
I was very surprised when I heard about the charges today, based on all the information that had been coming out the last 6 months and everything that was reported. I did expect some murder charges in this particular situation. Now, of course, this is a grand jury. A grand jury is the one that decides who's going to be charged in this particular matter. And the grand jury had many months to review a lot of evidence, of course, that we're not allowed to see. So, you know, this is the charges that came out. One charge for one officer. Definitely was surprised on the charging in this particular case.
The anger and frustration has been visible in the streets for months now, Enrique, and we know the Taylor family has been calling for a manslaughter charge. But would it, in fact, be harder for the prosecution to get a conviction on manslaughter?
It would in this particular situation. So it's very important that if you take what took place in this case and you break it down slowly. So we had a no-knock warrant, and when they came in with the no-knock warrant, there's discrepancy about whether they announced or did not announce. And basically what the grand jury was saying, and it's been reported that once Mr. Walker fired and hit the officer, then those officers returned fire. So because that is the reason that they returned fire, is because they were fired upon, they decided in this matter that the police officers had done nothing wrong in reference to what took place with Ms. Taylor and what took place with Mr. Walker. What they said was the actual, careless shooting from the one officer and those bullets going into the neighbor's apartment, they said that was reckless, and therefore that's why he was charged. But, you know, when you break it down on exactly how they're breaking this case down, they're basically saying because Mr. Walker fired first and they fired back, that this is basically an accident and this is a tragic circumstance. And that's why there's only one officer charged at this point.
Enrique, you just said, we weren't allowed to see what the grand jury was allowed to see. We don't know everything that went into the case because it was decided in a secret grand jury. That's how it works. Is there a transparency issue that the legal system maybe needs to address based on how grand juries operate?
I definitely believe at the time this taking place, it should be secretive. But I believe once it's done taking place, all of that should be allowed to come out and everything should be transparent. That way, no one outside looking in can wonder exactly what took place. The district attorney's office in this particular case were very careful to put out the idea that, they took a long time to present this case and it went on for many months, and basically said that they really tried to give all the information to the grand jury so that the process would not be rushed. And therefore, they're standing by what the grand jury came back with, only charging one officer, because they believe they gave all the information, allowed the grand jury to make a decision in this matter.
A decision today, but we know much more to come. Enrique Latoison, thank you. And NBC 10's complete coverage of this major national story and the fallout continues on NBC 10 News at 5. You can read more about the timeline of the case and today's developments right now on the free NBC 10 app. To this now in Washington, D.C.